welcome to another exciting show. Now, we've got connection problems this evening, and there's John, but we've got a bit of sound problem. And first of all, everything possible to go wrong has gone wrong. So let's have some positive thoughts to try and get this show on the road. First of all, Deb is Tom and Dick tonight. She's in bed. She's got a very bad cold. So we're going to have to send her some tinkly music and some healing music at the moment. And you can see John on the side there. His computer.
Can you?
Hang on. Can I what? Sorry. I don't know what's going on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Woo! I have no idea what's going on. It's just crazy.
It is crazy, but we got you through. That's the main thing.
Actually...
We're live. Yes, we're live now.
Right.
And,
okay.
I think we're going for it now. Oh,
that's just ridiculous.
We're trying to get it going. Now, just saying that Deb can't come on tonight because she's Tom and Dick. She's got a very bad cold. And so we're just going to have a little bit of tinkly music for her because she really is. So if we could all wish her better. So here we go. So Deb will be back soon. So here we go. Some nice healing music. See? Get well, Deb. You know. So she's got an absolute humdinger of a cold there. And also, somebody said that I've got to give her. And now I'm going to, what's this? Oh, no, sorry, that's something else. Now we're going to give Darcy a call out. Hello, Darcy. You said you wanted a call out. So, hello, Darcy. Way. So, hello, Darcy, who's in Kent. And also, I hope that I'd like to thank everybody that came on a walk yesterday that was to do with wildlife, not wildlife, what am I talking about? Was looking around hedgerows and to do with edible plants and things like that.
I keep losing you, Chris.
Yeah, have a lot. Well, hang on, shall we just get straight on with the show and see if we got any sound? So we're going to talk about a ship that sunk over 100 years ago, well over 100 years ago, that changed the course of history, but it wasn't the Titanic. So are you there, John?
I keep losing it. It keeps just
disappearing, yes. The only other way we could do it is via the phone. I can phone you and we could do it over the phone. And if I put the phone next to the microphone, that might work. Do you fancy? Shall we try that, John? Yes. Let's have a look. See what we. It's fun, isn't it? Right now, let's see if my phone's plugged. There I go.
Frozen. Screen's gone. I can't see a thing.
Right, we can hear you now. Oh no, the screen's gone now. So there we go. Oh dear, oh Lord. It's good fun tonight, isn't it? Well, I think whilst we're getting this. Now what's gone? Now what's gone on? Oh, here we go. Everything's going wild tonight. Well, first of all, let's have a look in chat and we'll try and get John back in the meantime. So it's this is Dan says, well, it's Monday if it helps. Yeah, it does help. Can we all have positive thoughts on this computer? And we'll try and get John back as soon as we possibly can. So it's hello, Ralph. Hello, Dan. Hello, Sue. Where are you? Sue, here we are. Oh, hang on. This is going a bit funny. This is. Oh, Sue here. Hello. Hello, everyone. Get better soon, Deb. Oh, that's nice. Hang on. I think that John's coming back soon. Add to stream. Yes, his computer's coming back. Here we are. And it's true what you say, Louise. It's the Mary Celeste. And there's an interesting point about the Mary Celeste. Here he is. He's back again. Is that man again? Cooey. It says log. Hang on, I've got here. Log out of everything, John, and come back on. Maybe that'll work. Let's have a try. I think the best thing is if I get on the phone to him. Let's have a look here. I think that's about the only thing we can do. It certainly is that sinking feeling tonight, isn't it? Right, here we go. Come on. Right. Hello, John.
Hello, Chris. It's just hopeless to find. I've not heard a word you've said since
Yeah. Well,
we spoke earlier. I can't hear and I can't see anything.
I think it might be best if you could ring off. Sorry, log out. Count to 10 backwards. Switch off the computer and then switch it back on again. And I think we're going to get something.
Tried that earlier.
You're switching it completely off, though.
I did. Exactly what I did.
It appears to be a RAM problem. I don't know whether we could do it by the phone.
Sorry.
Hello, he's gone. Yes.
No, I'm still here on the phone.
Right. Can everybody hear John on the phone? I've actually got the speaker on at the moment.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. Can everybody hear you on actually out there? So this is quite amazing. This is so. I'm rather enjoying it in a weird sort of way. Right now, I've got John on the phone right next to the microphone, and shall I mime as he's saying the words? Make out I'm John. Yeah, I've got some tin cans and a string. Now, I'm trying to get this. Can people hear John? So if you say a few words, John.
Yeah, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing.
Right.
Everybody receiving me out there in listener land.
Can everybody hear him? Yes, I can hear John. Righto.
Brilliant.
So,
Really weird not being able to see anybody. But yeah.
yeah. Well, try and get back on because you never know. It might work.
I think StreamYard's a problem now.
It might be StreamYard, live TV. Next is the elephant pooing. Was it don't work with animals, children, and John's computer? Oh, hang on, he's back on again here. Let's add it to string. Let's see what's going to happen here. Right, let's have a look. Oh,
See what's going to happen. Ridiculous. Wow,
oh dear.
This
Oh, something's gone.
hang on a minute. Let me just mute you on my phone.
Okay. I think he's got a budgie in the room, hasn't he? Right.
On the phone.
Right. I can't hear him now. Yeah, that's got
We'll have
his
to
turn.
do it on the phone, Chris. It's useless.
It is. Well, if you actually leave the computer on, switch the sound off, mute the microphone, and then just speak over the camera. So speak over the phone.
Just speak over
Well,
Yeah.
aren't we? So that's the problem.
I know it's good, this, isn't it? Well, look, at least we can see you moving, and it looks like the television from Baird's time. About 1920s, isn't it? Right, now there's a ship that went down. Now I hope everybody can hear. A ship that went down over 100 years ago. Yes, the Titanic sunk in 1912, but this happened after the Titanic sinking, and it had a dramatic effect on history. It changed the course of history. So if you can take this away, John, it's all yours.
West
during the First World War we're talking about now. But that was brought to a halt, and then it kind of settled down into that bloody stalemate, with the trenches and all that stuff. And the positions hardly changed in the trenches up until about 1918. So for about 4 years, just a bloody stalemate all throughout France, Belgium, down the Maginot Line, and all that crap. The trenches actually stretched from the North Sea coast right down to the Swiss Alps. So
yeah, hang on, John. Hang on. Nobody can hear you.
No, nobody can hear me.
Hang on. More volume for John, please. Hang on a minute. I'll just turn my phone up a bit. I've got it on speaker. So
Yeah, so
now I'll turn the volume right up. Right, that's as high as it'll go.
Right, what a circus, eh?
Right,
Right,
how's
okay.
that? Can anybody hear that?
Set the scene. Okay, so we're talking about the sinking of the Lusitania, which was during the First World War. Okay. Now, at the beginning of the First World War, the Germans initially attacked westwards towards Paris, pretty similar to what happened in the Second World War, but that was brought to a halt by the Allies. And then eventually the Western Front settled down into this bloody stalemate with the trenches, which stretched from the North Sea coast to the Swiss Alps. And in the east, the Russian army had engaged the Austro-Hungarian forces, but that was soon forced to retreat by the German army. And then there were additional fronts being opened in Eastern Europe and Asia Minor when Turkey, or the Ottoman Empire, as it was called then, joined the war on Germany's side in late 1914.
John, can I hold you? Sorry, sorry about this, mate. Right, put your speaker, put your microphone on. It might work now because we can see you quite clearly.
Okay, hang on a minute. Oh,
It's working.
hello.
Right.
Shall I switch the phone off then? It always stop as soon as I
No, your microphone's still muted. Right. So if you could turn your microphone on, please.
Okay. Right. I'll switch the phone off. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear now. And I think that's all I can hear. Needs mic or headphones?
Again.
Right. I think, John, we might have to abandon this and we'll try and sort out what's wrong. And I'll... Hey? Have you killed someone? Right, hang on. I'll get back to him on the phone. Right. We'll get back on the phone and we're trying to... Hello, John. I think we might have to abandon ship tonight because yeah. Well, actually, I can't mute my microphone because I'm on air, so I'm getting away from the microphone here. I think we're gonna have to abandon ship tonight because we'll have to sort this out. Sorry, mate. You know, and I wish I could. I wish it. You know. Sorry, mate. I don't know what else. Well, unless survival is day.
Too. I wish I could. I wish it. You know.
There's something odd going on. Unless Survivalist Dave can come round, or we could borrow his computer. Oh Christ. Well, there is another idea. I'm just trying to think of something. I think we can't do it over the phone. This is not working. We'll have to sort something out. Can you come back next week and do the show next week? Yeah, that sounds like a quiz show from the 1960s, doesn't it? Yeah. I think we'll have to put the show off until next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Night, John.
Yeah, it sounds
Sorry
like a Chris show from the 1960s, doesn't it? Can you come back?
certainly does. If you can get through again, please keep trying. It might be, I don't know, something atmospherics or something, because I've had trouble with my internet this morning.
Probably a day we could be doing this backwards and forwards all night.
Yes, right. We'll call it a night.
Might be, I don't know, something atmospheric.
Do
Yeah.
Get it
It's-
working again, whether it's just a
Try it.
or whether it's another
Yeah.
thing. I don't know. Maybe if we try again tomorrow. I don't mean to record a show. I mean just to test it.
We'll do
tomorrow
that. I'll phone you tomorrow. Okay.
evening, like
Thanks. That's okay. Good night.
Good.
Bye.
dry run.
Right. I think that we can safely say that
See if we
John
can
can't
just-
get through on the computer tonight, but he was going to speak about the Lusitania that was sunk in the First World War, and that changed the course of history. But we'll have to revert to plan B. And as I say, we wish Deb better. She'll be back on Thursday, would you believe? Because we're going to do an additional show this week with Miles Fleetwood. So we'll be back on Thursday at 8 o'clock. Okay. And that should be, the show is called Gut Reaction. Now, if you want to find out any more information, if you're on Facebook, I've got a group on Facebook called Fockham Hall. Okay. So you go onto Facebook and look up Fockham Hall, Fockham, and then space, and then Hall. Then you'll find a group, and what it was called was Organic Awake, and then before that it was called Pure Blood Awake. But I had to change the names because, first of all, Pure Blood Awake, people might think it's some right-wing extremist organisation, so I quickly changed that to Organic Awake, and then people thought it was some sort of health shop. So I've changed it to Fockham Hall. So that's it, really. But anyway, I'm going to carry on with the show for a little bit more because I always have a backup to talk about, and we'll carry on. And what I was going to talk about is this foraging that I did yesterday. I went on a foraging walk, and it was organised by the chap who took us was Damien rather, and it was absolutely brilliant, and I advise anyone that has never been on a foraging walk to go on one. And he certainly knew his stuff. And what amazed me is I learned a heck of a lot about the medicinal properties of some plants, and what I realised was that, well, a woods, or we was looking around hedgerows and things like that. It's really it's an organic chemist shop. And our ancestors had all the medicines at their disposal, and that were free. And what got me is that we were looking around, and he showed us a hawthorn tree, and we said, well, you can eat these berries as long as you don't eat the seeds inside. And then we looked at rose hips, and both these the tree and the rose hips from a wild rose, they're both full of vitamin C, which humans can't produce themselves. So we have to have vitamin C from an outside source. So you think our ancestors used to walk around and see these red berries and then pick them off the trees and obviously not eat the pips inside. And that probably gave them more vitamin C than you can get from a tablet. So that's quite interesting. And we've got some interesting stuff here from Louise. It says, I'm drinking white pine needle tea. Great to rid you of shedding of people that's... Yes. But I'll tell you what is good, and that is nettles. Now, the Romans had no time for doctors, and for 400 years they used a lot of nettles. And the marvelous thing about nettles is that that you can actually strip the leaves off if you do it a certain way. I think it's from the root to the top. That's the way you strip the leaves off. But once you put the nettles in boiling water, the sting goes. And you can make nettle tea, and apparently you use nettles like you would spinach, and it's free. And was this big Bobby Dazzler said, "I'm drinking whiskey, helps tell to F off." I like that one. Oh, it was great yesterday because I was sort of a lot happier yesterday because, as you probably noticed, I'm not drinking the Guinness tonight because I don't need that to make me happy now. And I found that I was cracking a few jokes and that, and really, really enjoying it, And as I say, and apparently you can make a form of string from the from nettles as well. It's the actual stem that you make, and apparently it's a lot of messing about, but you can actually make string from the nettle stems. Also, he was going to show us some deadly nightshade, but we spent a bit too long walking around, so we didn't go as far as we should have done. But it was absolutely, the weather was perfect. It was a beautiful sunny day. A little bit wet underfoot, or say very wet underfoot, and it's a bit of luck. I had my old my boots on, and what's this? This is Michelle Scouse. Hello, Michelle. Ceramin is the antidote to the hot sauce. Ceramin in white European pine needles. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Well, apparently you can. It's a lot of messing around because you've got to get the tannin out of them. But people did eat acorns, but of course you can't eat them raw. That's one thing you can't do. And if you cook them, it won't make any difference. There's a special process in which you get the tannin out of what do you call it, acorns. But you've got to tell the difference between. It's too late now for chestnuts, but there are edible chestnuts and inedible chestnuts as well. What's this? Big Bobby Dazzler said you can make Guinness from badger poo. Well, not really. Well, where I live, it's called Broxbourne, and Brox is apparently it's something to do with badgers because it's very common. We get common badgers around here. Swear and get drunk and cause a lot of problems. But no, it also is talking about willows because that the willow tree, I believe aspirin comes from willow bark and things like that. And do you think that all that information that our ancestors knew has all been lost? And I didn't. And what got me is when I was at school, we was never taught anything like this. And it angered me a bit that I left school and I didn't even know the difference between a coniferous tree and a deciduous tree. There were sort of trees, We never taught anything about trees or anything about wildlife around us. All they were interested in at my school was teaching you sport. And if you wasn't good at sport, like I'm not really interested in it, you were just a square peg in a round hole because all the headmaster was interested in was the amount of trophies he had around his office showing everybody else how good his school was at sport. But no, I mean, I'd love to have gone through the woods and found out all these different things. But no, it is. If you've got the chance to go on one of these walks, please do. They are brilliant. And of course, if you're in the southeast area, and it doesn't matter where you are, you can still go onto Facebook and look up Fockham Hall, and please join us because I know that there's two people. They're starting a meetup in Lancashire, which is a long way from southeast. So it's beginning to work. It's a kind of this Fockham Hall on Facebook is a kind of, shall we say, networking. So wherever you live, if you feel that you want to sort of meet up with some people, you can meet up in a pub, cafe, or wherever. And all you do, you just write on a white piece of paper, Fockham Hall, and sort of hold it under your arm or put it on the table where you are, or if you don't want to be in it, I'm not extrovert. If you just want to be a bit subtle, so that when people walk in, they say, "Oh, yes, it's Fockham Hall that's meeting." And I've found that name always causes a laugh. It's always good to have a laugh. So I think that's probably the best name you could think of. And also you've got the website, which is fockhamhallradio.com, and I'm on Telegram as well. So there we go. Now the next idea is what we're going to have is meetups in the southeast area. There's one planned at the end of November in the Welsh Harp in Waltham Abbey. So anybody that's interested in that, please come along. And again, please go onto my Facebook site. Now people say, oh, Facebook, don't like that. Well, I don't particularly like Facebook, but unfortunately, as I said last week, metaphorically, you've got to get in bed with the devil sometimes to get what you want. So, you know, that's life. Unfortunately, I wouldn't have. I mean, it is expanding at quite a rate. This Fockham Hall on Facebook, and it wouldn't expand that fast if it was on any other platform. Right now, Big Bobby Dazzler's come in, and we got here. What's this? Can't do nature walks up my way. Too many doggers, and I'm too busy joining. We won't talk about that, will we? We didn't see any dogging yesterday. I'll tell you what was plenty of dog poo. Cow poo, cow pats. And now we got here. What's this? I think the original diet of ancient peoples depended on which part of the world everyone lived. So really, vegetarian diet is not naturally really our ancestors would have killed livestock. Well, that's right. And before that, they would have gone out like the Amazon tribes and African and Papua New Guinea tribes hunting. And it's only in, shall we say, recent history that we've actually turned animals into like a commodity and farmed them. Because really, I mean, what we've done to animals with inbreeding and things like that, to get the biggest yield of meat is really incredibly cruel. And now I haven't checked this out, what I'm about to say, so please don't take my word. Somebody said yesterday that they're going to squirt what they squirted into lots of people over the last 2 years into animals. Has anybody else heard anything about that? You know, the I won't say the word, but you know, so that we all get it in if we eat meat. And the person that told me was a vegetarian, so she said, "Oh, well, the meat eaters are all going to get it," you know. So that's right; they're going to squirt it into cows, apparently. Now, Louise has said, "Yes, ages ago I heard that." Yes, well, I hope they haven't already done it. You know, but it's perfect what J. Alfred Baldwin has said. In England, especially, no one could survive on plants alone in these days, surely. Well, I know people that are vegans and live on vegan diet. I was a vegetarian at one time, but I lapsed a bit. And I was a vegan at one time, but I was hungry all the time. And I think it suits some people and it doesn't suit others. And it depends on your metabolism and things like that. And apparently it also depends on where your ancestors come from, because some people, their metabolism can go without meat, but we can eat either. This is the thing, because, you know, with our teeth and that. What's this? Bob Hollyoak said, vegan is a part of depopulation. Yes, I agree with you. And also eating insects. That's the other one that gets me, because with insects, what they're saying is, yes, people have been eating insects for years. I mean, they eat grubs in Australia and places like that, but it's not their entire diet. And they reckon that insects have got some chemicals with them that are not really for humans. And yes, some African tribes eat, and Australian tribes, and I'm not sure about other tribes, but you know, their insects are part of their diet, but it's not all their diet. They don't survive wholly on insects. Now it says here, what's this? Bob has said, I'm in the room, been a commodity since the good old mum registered me as stock at local births, deaths and marriages. That's right, birth certificate. Love to all. Absolutely spot on. I mean, let's face it. Did you know that on your passport it says P? You know what that stands for? Pauper. And do you know what Sir stands for? Slave I remain. So when you call somebody Sir, you're just saying, hello, slave I remain. Apparently so. That's what I was told. But Louise has come up with a good one here. It says, I only eat organic meat when I do eat it. Hello, what we got here? We've got a message here. Oh, no. Yes, it's not that easy to get hold of now. I mean, chicken especially. I was talking to Miles about this, and you know, Miles Fleetwood, or Dr. Fleetwood of Happy Health Foods, who's incidentally another plug, who's coming on this Thursday at 8 o'clock. I think his sound will be okay, so I think we should all be okay there. And now he reckons that chicken especially is the worst thing you can have. Only buy organic. And I mean, what about the eggs? I mean, you know, there's been a shortage of eggs. I've found that when I've gone into local supermarket, you're lucky if you can get any, because or you get the stuff that nobody else wants. But I went into Tesco's and then Lidl's, and there was only some sort of manky old eggs in the stores. You didn't get a choice, and it's because of this bird flu apparently. But the truth about the bird flu is that what's happening is farmers are keeping their livestock indoors. They've got loads and loads of eggs, but what's happening, farmers there are, or shall we say egg farmers or chicken farmers, their overheads are going up through the roof, but the supermarkets are not paying them any more money. So what they're doing, the supermarkets are getting eggs at a very low price and then putting the price up and increasing their profits. That's the truth behind eggs at the moment. So that's what's happening. Now we've got here, what's this? You're spot on. Bird flu bull. Yeah, it's, yeah, that I agree with you. It's all a load of old, as I say, the shit of the bull. Bullshit. Now, Louise has said, I live 5 minutes from a huge farm with its own shop. Yeah, I don't live, there's a very far from a farm shop. It's in, I won't say where it is, but it's not far from me. And there's one trouble with this particular farm shop. And again, I won't mention, giving any clue where it is. It buys its stuff in and charges about twice the price of something you buy in the supermarket that says organic on it. So, yeah, it's just a bit of a rip-off actually. And it says it's a farm shop, and there's farm there, but very little is locally grown, or most of it comes from elsewhere. And I was saying about some carrots I bought in the local supermarket that are supposed to be organic, but they were absolutely huge. Now, are carrots supposed to be that size? These were absolutely jumbo carrots, and I'm really suspicious where they are actually organic. I mean, we're trusting them because they stamped organic on it, but is it, you know? Now we got another one here. I like this. They are using the test for, oh really, Bob? What next? You're gonna have the chickens with little masks over their beaks, you know, running around, you know. And we got here, what's this? £320 for 6 eggs for good quality ones. Well, if they're ostrich ones, I should think they are. And thank you, Hachi. That's a very kind statement you made there. And Paul Johnston's in New Zealand. Morning all. I don't know what time you got on to us, but Deb's got a very bad cold, so she can't come on tonight. And we're wishing her better. Now, we've got here, it's amazing. This is Big Bobby Dazzler. Says it's amazing how this present time in history, so many things are going wrong. You would think it's all by design. Spot on. And this is quite interesting. Bob Hollyoak says, attack on meat industry, just like foot and mouth and mad cow, etc., apart from the yes WEF plans. Well, regarding foot and mouth, Victorian and Edwardian farmers knew how to deal with it. And there was a woman on the radio when the last she was on, have a go up. There's a woman on the radio when the last Foot and Mouth was around. I think it's in 2001, and she said her, I don't know if it's her father or grandfather, when they had Foot and Mouth years ago, they used to have a barn and fill it with onions and put the cattle in there, and something to do with the onions would absorb the disease, I suppose. I don't know, but that's what she said. And she said they never had any problems with that, with any Foot and Mouth at all. So, you know, that's quite an interesting one. But yeah, you're spot on there, Bob, with that, and very spot on. Yeah, and bird flu, it's the earth vibration rising, and some birds can't cope. Maybe, well, yes. I mean, it's like I was saying the other week about vibration, frequency, and energy. It's surprising what that can do, and I'm very interested in this idea of how you can change your frequency and energy and vibration to get what you want in life. And I'm going to do a show soon about the pineal gland, which is something I'm fascinated in, because the experience I had with the pineal gland was absolutely out of this world. It was quite incredible, and I've never really experienced anything quite like it. And I want to examine that further, because when I did this experiment with the pineal gland, I didn't know much about it. And that, I mean, for those that are unaware of it, I actually linked my pineal gland. Sounds kinky. It's nothing kinky. It's quite normal. Did it in a park, loads of people around, and we weren't dogging or anything like that. It was just all very above board. But you've got to be very careful who you link your pineal gland with. That's what I didn't know. And the second thing is what you do, you just link your pineal gland together. There's more in it than that. And it works with male and female. And I don't know if it works with gay people, might do, I don't know. But I just know for a fact it works with males and females. And I did this with a female. And you tell compatibility. And what happened kicked in within a matter of seconds. And they say it can take up to about 3 or 4 minutes for what it is. It kicks in, and it's a kind of high that you can't really put into words. It's quite amazing. You know, I'm not. Well, I've often had a Guinness here, but I wouldn't call myself a drinker as such. But it's the best high. It's incredible high, and that's something we're going to be looking into soon. Is the pineal gland, and we're also going to be looking into earthing. And the idea of earthing on your feet on the ground. These are all big effects. But back to the chat room. Louise Thom, I can give you tips on the third eye. Any information, regardless, is very, very interesting. And I'm looking into kinesiology as well, which is something that is very interesting. I was talking to somebody on Sunday about it, very briefly. And I don't know, I know the square root of what's sod all about it, but I'm going to look into it. But please, anything about the third eye, I'm interested in, because people said to me, "What you link?" I said, "Yes, you link it," and it is really quite. You've got to. You're kind of. The strange thing is, you get information through that's not in any form as such. It's very difficult to explain. What it is, but you get information, and whether the other person got the information, some information from me, I do not know. But you pick up this information afterwards. You're thinking, what is this information I've got? So if you're a couple, say you've met a soulmate or something like that, once you've got to know them a little bit, try this linking up, and you'll be surprised. If you are, I mean, this is what a tribe does in the Solomon Islands. Before they get married, they actually link their pineal glands together. You know, it's not, you don't use Evo stick. You just it's about there, I believe, and they can tell where they're going to be compatible. And if they don't get anything, if there's nothing comes through, they're not going to be compatible. But if something does come through and it comes through quick, then they will be compatible. So this is something that got me interested in this, and then I started going on further and looking into it, and I thought, wow, this is very interesting. And I'm wondering whether you can actually do healing through the pineal gland. I don't know, but that's something I want to look into, whether you can actually do this healing. Now, this is interesting. Bob Hollyoak says they also use, I can never pronounce this word. I just can't. I know what you mean. It's that drug they have in South America, yes, for the third eye. Yes, that's right. But this technique that I've got, and it is a technique that's, again, it's nothing kinky, that I use, which I'm going to explain on a further program. It really, as I say, there's no drugs involved or anything like that, but it really gives you a high. But Big Bobby Dazzler says, is there a disease that only affects politicians? Yeah, I think it's bullshit, actually. Oh, my bad. There it is. They can catch bullshitters, bullshititis, and scumbag biters. Well, when you look at politicians, when you think about it, usury scammers rule countries, civil servants run countries, and government job has two purposes. One is to take your mind away from the first two facts, and two, to tax you as much as possible to pay for the usury scam. And that's their only job. So it doesn't matter whether you vote for Tweedledee or Tweedledum, because whoever is in power will be user scam friendly, because it's in the usury scammers' interest that governments worship them and give them the money that they want. So that's the real problem, where we've got people who sit on their big fat arse using compound interest to get as much money as possible. Now, for people that don't understand what usury is, and I've bored people stupid with this, usury is where you get a loan from a bank that, say, if you run a country and you want to improve it, and then say let's call it £1 million, right? Let's be very simple with these facts and figures. So you get a loan of £1 million, and you build all these factories and roads and whatever. I know, yeah, all right, it'd be more than that, but anyway. And then when you go to pay your million back, usury scammer says, no, it's £1.5 million now. I'm like, what? Well, it's compound interest. So you then tax the shit out of your citizens to pay the £1.5 million back. And then when you go to pay the £1.5 million back, they say, no, it's 2 million now. And it keeps the country and the government in slavery, paying off a debt that can never be paid off. And we've actually had this situation since the 1690s, when the Bank of England was set up, thanks to Oliver Cromwell, who in the 1690s wasn't around because he was dead by then. But that is the real fact of the matter, because Longshanks, 300 years before Oliver Cromwell, abolished usury, and anybody that operated a usury scam, punishment was death. And then, in order to get money for his new model army, Cromwell went to the Netherlands and got Dutch bankers to put up the money for his army. And the agreement was that, yes, when he wins, they will allow these bankers and the usury scam back into England, or Great Britain. And of course, the rest is history, thus ensuring that every generation from there on would be paying back massive taxes to pay off this scam. And that's it. And I don't think the claxons are gone off at YouTube, but you never know. But that's right. Bob Hollyoak, that's debt on nothing. That's right. It's making money out of nothing. It says here, Bob Hollyoak says, you heard anything about 15 cities in the last couple of weeks? Yes, I have. I haven't gone much further. I haven't checked it out thoroughly, but I heard that Oxford is going to be a city. And if you want to find out more about it, another quick plug, go on to Fockham Hall on Facebook and you'll find out, because it's on that group chat there. And now, this is from memory, so I could be a little bit wrong on this, I haven't got the information in front of me, but apparently Oxford is going to be a matter of zones, so that you will be 15 minutes cycle ride or walk away from your nearest shops. And that's what they're kind of designing. And you'll have a zone in which you can drive. But if you drive out of that zone more than 100 days a year, you get fined a certain amount of money. So that's fine if you work outside. So it's basically a third of the year you can go drive around wherever you want. And then 2/3 of the year you can't use your car. And you can spread it out over a year. Well, what about if you work away from home and you need your car? Like, for example, supposing you deliver goods for a living, or you're a long distance salesman, or anything like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Excuse me. But that's what I heard. So if anybody can elaborate on that, please say. And that's how I grasped the information. It was, again, it's from memory, so I could be a little bit wrong on that, because I usually make notes, you know. Now it says here, allegedly Dave, oh yes, he's from Kent. I think he's on YouTube or BitChute. Got interesting video out on this, and non-payment of utilities. Yes, that's right. And what's this minute? Oh, Bobo, yeah, 15 minutes. That's it. It's a 15-minute zone. So it'll be, now where I live, I'm more than 15 minutes away from any shops. So that's, well, shops you want to shop in. I mean, there's a sort of what they call it, Tesco Metro, which you can get to within about 10 minutes. But the Tesco Metro hasn't got all what you want, has it, really? And that opened up almost opposite a shop that had been there from hundreds of, well, it was grade 2 listed, had been there for years. And it was a lovely little village shop, and they were put out of business because of this. And the it was terrible, really, what happened. So, you know, now it says here, contractors are stuffed. That's right, yes. So it says, what's this? No more dogging with your pals then. I've got to think about dogging tonight. I don't know quite where it's come from, but still, you know. I hear that too, Chris. Oh, this is Louise. This is about this thing that apparently there's it's happening in Oxford, and there's several other cities that are interested as well. It's only crap ideas, you know. I mean, when I was driving up to this foraging event, it was a few miles from where I live. It was a sort of, it's about the only time I listen to the radio is when I'm in the car, because it was a bit of a sort of a, you know, it's just a dual carriageway drive. It's a bit like a motorway, and you're just sort of sitting there, and I thought, I'll put radio on. And I put Classic FM on, and that's about the only radio station I'd listened to. And what came on was the news, and I've never heard anything like it. One thing was about the environment scam, and the next thing, well, they didn't say it's a scam, you know, so some bloody thing had been signed about this environmental thing. The next one was about these environmental protesters, that anybody with any common sense realizes that these environmental protesters are controlled opposition, because they're so well organized. I mean, let's face it, if you or I wanted to glue ourselves to the bleeding road, I think we'd soon be moved away. And when they took over a bridge, you know that in London, they took over a bridge. Can you imagine if any one of us wanted to take over the bridge in London? I think the police would be on us within about 15 seconds. You know? But now it says here, going back to the chat, Bob Audio, basically it's a dictatorship. Yeah, you're right, it is. It's a complete and utter dictatorship. And J. Alfred Baldwin says, cannot believe there are still so many people on the London Underground that are still wearing the old sanitary towels over their mouths. Must have really brainwashed them, even now. Yeah, I've actually seen them a couple of weeks ago walking around a park. Actually walking around the park. There's nobody there hardly. It is. I'm really positive it is brainwashing. And I've noticed that the people that seem to be brainwashed the most, this isn't a straw poll of any what I've noticed, are the ones that watch the television the most. I mean, I haven't got a television. I don't watch it. I haven't watched the television for 10 years. But it does seem, it's weird, isn't it? We've got Big Bobby Dazzlers said, going to actually have to get a real dog now. What, you talking about dogging? Well, I told you the other week that this leg has had to go to counselling because it's been raped so many times by a bloody dog, So anyway, government stooges. Yeah, that's what this Extinction Rebellion is. Isn't it amazing that Bellamy, who was highly qualified and knew his stuff, got booted out of mainstream media? Then the BBC didn't want to interview him or have anything to do with him. But David Attenborough, who I do not believe has got any qualifications in the bullshit he talks about, he's mouthing off like anything. And then what else? You got a little girl from, was it Norway or somewhere, who's got a psychological problem. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable, Now it says here, they will help their agendas by making people poor and can't afford petrol and control us with digital ID. Well, I normally fill up with petrol. Now, I've got a smart car and a Toyota Carina, which is a classic car. Now, my smart car, which I use just for locally, and I use the Carina for long distances. And it's the furthest a smart car is basically a motorbike with a car body. The furthest you really want to go is about 20 miles. And I went about, this foraging walk was about 15, 16 miles away. So I thought, no, it's raining. I think I used the smart car. But I used to fill up the tank every so often. It cost me 12 quid. Now it cost me 20 quid. So it's almost double. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And of course, you've got this bloody change in octanes where you've got to get this expensive petrol now because it won't run on the new crappy petrol. So you've got to have the expensive old crappy petrol. That's why I think if I get another car, it'll probably be a diesel. And the reason why is because you can actually run a diesel on almost anything, providing it's not one of these modern electronic things, The only thing you've got to guard against with a diesel is clogging up the jets. But there is plenty of information out there where you can quite legally add a little bit of, vegetable oil to it without any sort of tinkering around or anything like that. But, the thing with petrol cars, I mean, why can't they run them on bioethylene? It needs a little bit of tweaking. Bioethylene is natural. It does less miles per gallon, yes, but you wouldn't have to import oil, would you? Because you can, it's more of an organic process, but no, they won't. Now we've got here, Big Bobby Dazzler says exemptions for the 3 policemen, council bosses, for those who deliver, and yes, the stuff. Oh, well, there will be exemptions, yeah, but it really is making the book and the film, George Orwell's 1984, look like a walk in the park, isn't it, really? Because at least in the film 1984, in his book, Winston could actually walk outside his zone, but you had to give a reason for being outside his zone. Now it's really getting quite bad. Now, Robert Dawes says, hello, Robert. Totally agree with you, Jay. There are so many people who have been literally scared silly. Well, there's a dear old couple I often see around the market, and it's a chap who's pushing his wife in a wheelchair, and it's very sad. And they're a dear old couple, they really are. He's got his mask up to the arse, and so is she. She's got a mask on, the old plastic dooflop, and I think, oh, and she even had plastic gloves on as well. And I think, come on, it's doing more harm than good. And the big problem with wearing anything over your mouth is, what is it now? A bacterial pneumonia. It can cause no end of problems. I mean, let's face it, we would be born with something over our mouths if it's natural. But now Bob Olio says, I've seen people wearing them here in rugby, brainwashed to the cure that dangerous, but dangerous to our sovereignty. Yes. Well, you know, that's what the show that got banned, where I was talking about the percentage of people that will believe everything they're told, and the percentage of people that will go with the flow, and the percentage that can see through it. And I've found that I don't want to sound elitist, but those of us that can actually see through what is going on, we are a bit different from the rest. And there's something like the way we think. Because one thing that has been noticed is that nearly the majority didn't get on very well at school. I didn't get on very well at school. I couldn't stand it, you know. Now it's just we go down here. Excuse me 1 minute. Oh, we got Ancient Ruby. Hello, Ancient Ruby. Hello, Chris and everyone. And little late today. I think you exempt your lines, you know. Salaway has said TV used to make me feel ill. Threw it out in 2016. Your mine was about 2011, I think. But what gets me, the last time I saw television, when was it? I think I was in the bank, and they had this bloody great screen on the wall. So as you're queuing in the bank to go to the machines, not the bloody tills, because I don't have any tills now, your eyes get sort of, or your attention gets moved towards this screen, and I think it was BBC News 24, is it 48 or whatever blame now it was. Anyway, there's a rolling news from I wouldn't call it news, it's propaganda, and it was so childish. It was sort of, well, it was irritating. It brought you, excuse my language, your ass up to your elbows. It was so cringingly awful. You know, let me go over to this. And why is it they always walk towards the camera with their microphone? You know, but I did see on YouTube though the hit piece they've done on Richard D. Hall, and I'm fuming because I think it's Panorama that did a hatchet job on him. Now he was quite innocent. He's going about his business. He had a kind of little shop or stall in near where he lives in Wales, and he's doing very well now. When you look at it, I mean, compared with other people, I mean, he's got a niche audience, a small audience compared with the mainstream. So they must be desperate to go after people regardless, mustn't they? When you think about it, you know, would they go after, and I'm not being rude to Richard D. Hall, but I'm sure that he would probably agree with me. When you look at the whole sort of plethora of news, I wouldn't say news media, of the mainstream, and then you've got the alternative stream, which is very, very small compared with the mainstream. Why they go after it? Why are they going after it? You know, it just makes you think. Now, Bob has just said Attenborough is elite puppet. That's right. I mean, is the typical speaks as if he's got a cucumber wedged up his arse. You know, that sort of. But he always looks like a square peg to me. He doesn't look the type. He always looks as if he's an office worker that's just been called in at the last moment. Okay, take your tie off, look a little bit relaxed. Oh, okay, right. And well, to me, he's one of the BBC smug gits, and I don't know how he's lasted for that long, because I don't find him very interesting. He just reads the script. He's a script reader. Excuse me. And that bloody soppy ass girl that from Norway or wherever she's from. Well, ugh. Now, regarding this closed, what's they call it now? Intelligent city or whatever. Big Bobby Dazzler, pardon me, sorry for my rudeness. Wonder why Oxford's first. I haven't got a clue really. It's weird, isn't it? You know, I would have thought somewhere like Peterborough or Stevenage or one of these satellite towns would have been first, because they would be easier to set up. Because look at places like Harlow and Stevenage; they were built up in the from about the late 40s, the 50s and 60s, and you know, the infrastructure's there. But Oxford has got oldie worldy areas. It's got its old areas as well. So that is a bit of a mystery, but they must have their reasons, you know. And then we got here Robert Doris F. Ors E evidence. appearing real. Yes, 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 you're right. You're correct. You're correct, because well, the idea of ideological subversion is to create confusion, where they give you some truth and some lies. Now, I don't know whether this idea in Oxford is true or false. It could be false. I've only seen what's been pasted on Facebook, and of course we must believe everything that's on Facebook, mustn't we? I don't think. I haven't looked at any further, and apparently this item was taken out of a local Oxford newspaper. So allegedly, I believe. So I don't know whether that is part of ideological subversion or not, where you give people some truth and some lies, because the objective of ideological subversion is, I don't know if you know about ideological subversion. Well, there's a chap, he's unfortunately, I don't know whether he's still around now, but he died, supposed to have died in 1990, around about that time. But he's a hero of mine. That's Yuri Bezmenov. And during the Cold War, he came over to the West, and he was a leading expert in, well, he was in the KGB, and he was a leading expert in ideological subversion. And what it basically is that it's fighting a war without firing a shot, and you use people's minds to actually destroy your enemy. So what you do, you get your enemy to destroy itself. So, for example, you bombard your enemy with media and information that's going to screw people's brains up, basically. And that's exactly what's happened, because communism has moved from the east to the west. You know, that's it. Now, we've got here Attenborough and Bellamy. I'm hoping the later is at the door to let the former in. And Coxey, yes, yes. No, mind you, Bellamy will be probably up there, and Attenborough will probably be down there. I really don't like Attenborough at all, as just said. And we've got another one here. Big Bobby Dazzler says, how can the Bullington Club go out to the countryside to pick up their pigs? Yes, but remember, they're the elite. They will find a way around it. Doesn't bother the elite. Because you notice that, for example, in Russia, you still had, not Russia, I'm talking about the former Soviet Union. You still had the elite who were driving around in their huge limousines down special highways, because everybody's equal, but some people are more equal than others, and they're dachas out in the country. So you always have the elite. That's what communism is about. It's about having an elite. I mean, look at North Korea, for example. It's run by about 6 families and a handful of industrialists who live in the absolute lap of luxury, whilst everybody else is sort of almost licking dirt off the road. That's what they've got, you know. She ain't going to have a glug. And now we got here, what's this? It says, Jay, these people are literally running away from the people with the cloth over their face. Great to get a seat on the train or bus, though. Yes, I'll tell you a good thing to do. I mean, I avoid public transport like the plague. I hate it. But if I have to go to London, which I haven't had to, I'd have to go by public transport. And if you're in a crowded place, all you have to do is go. Everybody moves away. You know, it's quite good there. You know, you get to the front of the queue in supermarkets as well. Now, J. Alfred Baldwin has said, even the arms beers, normies, looks at the masked ones as bizarre that they're still wearing them. Yeah. Well, it's kind of, I think it's people that can't think for themselves. I don't mean that in a rude sense, but there's some people that want people to tell them what to do. And there's a lot of people like that, want to be told what to do. And this is why I don't like clubs, because I don't want people telling me what to do. And this is what I did like. with staying in the park because nobody was an overall leader. People are individuals, but there are some where people have made themselves leaders. I know one. Yes, we won't go into that. But no, there are people that like to be boss people around and things like that. I'm not talking about. I'm just generalising on that statement. People want to boss people around, but I always get away from anything that's clubby. I don't want anybody telling me what to do, and that's as simple as that, really. And what is it? Groucho Marx said, "I wouldn't join a club that would allow me to be a member." I 100% agree with him. Yes, I wouldn't either. Ancient Ruby has just said, "It is always as soon as it becomes popular, the prices rise on everything too. This is due to feedback, and if good, the prices rise and quality shrinks." Yeah, they're going to start. People with these electric noddy cars going to have to pay road tax now. I mean, quite honestly, they are a bleeding joke. They really are. I mean, they're ideal on November the 5th. You just park them somewhere and you get a free bonfire and fireworks. They just explode. There was a bus garage. I think it was in the late summer or sometime around that time. There was a bus garage not too far from me where a electric bus pulled up and just burst into flames. Luckily, no one was hurt or injured or anything, but that's just goes to show you. I really think that in a couple of years' time, electric cars will just be a thing of the past because it's a joke. I mean, you drive along and now if you want to fill up with fuel, you just go in. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes, and you're off on your way. With an electric car, you've got to spare 15 minutes? No, sorry, sometimes 50 minutes, an hour. And there was a fantastic YouTube video of a bloke who's got an electric car, and his journey took about 5 times as long because he's desperately looking for a charging point. Now to sit around waiting for his car to be charged. But I think the French have got the best idea, and that is, and of course, before I go on to the French idea, these batteries use lithium, and the lithium mines are causing an absolute environmental disaster in Africa where it's being dug out. But I was going to go back to the French idea. They had this idea where you have like a battery on a trailer. Well, this trailer is very technical, and an amateur could back up with it. It has special locking mechanisms and things like that. Because if you have a trailer on the back of your car, you've got to sort of reverse the wrong way. So if you want to sort of go right, you turn left, and if you want to turn left, you turn right. Because the trailer, I hope that makes sense. Well, these trailers are different. If you want to, you just it will lock. But what you do, you go into a garage, and someone just changes the trailer over. So you go in. It's probably quicker than filling up with petrol. And or I don't know whether you do it yourself. You unhitch the trailer, and you put another trailer on the back of your car, and you go for another 400 or 500 miles, and find another place to change the trailer, which is an idea. I think it's a possibility. But there's loads of ideas what you can run. I mean, we've got an internal combustion engine. We've reached a point now of perfection with it, where diesels are so clean you can almost breathe over the exhaust pipes, and petrol cars are very clean now. And why should we use petrol? We can use almost anything. I mean, as I say, biofuels and things like that. And I think it comes from what's it called? I can't remember. But it's surprising. You don't need to do away with the internal combustion engine. It's a bit like the coal mines. Now, when they were closed in the 80s, they could not be reopened again today because we don't have the expertise. That expertise, that generation's died. They've gone, or they're retired. That's just gone. Now, in a couple of years, once the internal combustion engine is done away with, we've burnt our boat because that expertise will have gone. It's finished. And it's a bit like wrought iron work. The Victorians did far better wrought iron than we can today. That skill has gone. We don't know quite how they did it. And there's lots of skills that are completely died. Well, another one is drawing board. Now, when I started work, you drew everything on a drawing board. Now it's all CAD, it's all computers. That's another skill that's gone. So these skills are sort of gradually going. And I think when they, with this idea of cars that drive their own, the skill of driving will have gone as well. And I enjoy driving. I love driving. You know, two things I like: walking, I like cycling, and I like driving. And I love driving. Less so now than I used to, but I really do like driving. I like transport, but I mean walking. I like sort of, sorry, say walking over fields and things like that. And but walking generally, I prefer to cycle because it's a bit faster actually. And normally, if you're cycling, I just go nip down to the shops, something like that. Anyway, Robert thought we have to resist on a local level. I agree with you, and this brings me on to another idea that I've got. Okay, now I've found that wherever you go, the people that are awake will tell you all the terrible things that's going on. And there's protest marches in London where people are walking along saying, no, we won't stay in this, won't stay in that. And I think a lot of those protest marches are kind of, I don't like to upset people, but they seem to be very controlled in many ways. And we're all very good behaviour and everything like that, and peaceful and all that. Yes, I'm all for peace and love. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for peace and love. But the big problem, our enemy, is psychopaths. And it doesn't matter what nationality, religion they are, psychopaths. But I'm not talking about all psychopaths, because there's a lot of psychopaths that don't harm human beings. I'm talking about the ones that harm human beings, either directly or indirectly. And that is our enemy. And I know that Dr. Hare, I believe allegedly, has come very close to admitting that psychopaths are a different breed. And Dr. Hare is a Canadian who's a leading expert on psychopaths. And he studied it most of his life. And I think that we've got to find a way of separating them without starting a witch hunt out from the rest of the population, putting them on an island somewhere, not being cruel to them or anything like that, but letting them live their life out away from us so that we can because live our life. Because I've noticed that psychopaths and people like that seem to hypnotize people. I've been in offices where people with psychopathic tendencies tend to give off a kind of hypnosis. It's really weird, and people sort of worship them almost. Now, if we can find a way of sorting out the psychopaths without starting a witch hunt, we've solved the problem. But what I was thinking, I've been looking into the power of thought and the power of reason. Now, for example, I'll give an example. This morning, I got up and I do what I normally do. I put my internet on because I've got a SIM card router. So I don't have a phone line coming into my house. And the good thing about a SIM card router, you can switch it off at night. Anyway, on with the story. I switched it on and everything seemed okay. And I looked at, the router and it had all the nice signal coming in and everything like that. And switched my iPad on. No connection. Strange. Looked at my smartphone. And normally I've got it so that when I don't like Wi-Fi, don't get me wrong, but I only have it on the minimal times. But I use Wi-Fi to use the smartphone. That was using 4G. It wasn't using, it's using its own internal internet connection. It wasn't using my router internet connection. And I did the usual things, I looked around, switched the router off, put it back on again, and fiddled and farted around with the phone. And then I thought, well, hang on a minute. I suppose it's a breakdown, because I was wondering whether my router had gone up the spout. So I got onto the internet on my smartphone, and I found out that it wasn't. Everything is apparently supposed to be a good signal where I am. This is weird. So I had my breakfast, did the washing up, because I normally check my emails and everything first thing in the morning when I'm eating whilst I'm eating my breakfast. Sad, isn't it? Eating my breakfast whilst looking at my emails. Anyway, on with the story. And I thought positively. And whilst I was doing the washing up and chores and that, I was thinking, this internet is going to be perfectly okay when I next check. It will be perfect. There's nothing wrong. And I was convincing myself that everything's okay with the internet connection. It's not a problem. And then about 11 o'clock, I went to my phone and sure enough, it connected to the internet, put my iPad on, working perfectly. Now, it might be a coincidence, I don't know. It's weird. Pity I didn't think of that before John came on. His internet's going to be working perfectly. But really, when you look at these things, there is the power of thought, because as I said the other week, your subconscious is in the now, and your subconscious has been programmed from an early age, they say up to the age of 7. And your subconscious is supposed to be female, regardless of whether you're male or female, is a female side of your brain, because it gives birth to different, shall we say, what you've been programmed with. Now, your conscious is in the future or lives in the past, and the program, which is your subconscious, is, shall we say, programming your conscious to react in a certain way. And this is what I think this chap called Gallagher looked at. And this is what I'm getting very, very interested in where you can sort of change things or nudge things into your advantage in many ways. Now, I'm thinking if we all sort of sat down on a certain time and a certain day, and we just concentrated hard on putting a positive energy into everything, could we defeat these psychopaths? You just think about it, the power of thought. Could we do it? And you get these characters on YouTube. They're saying, well, they were very poor, but they thought and they convinced their subconscious that's been pre-programmed that they were rich. And suddenly they start to get money. And it's like, if you're looking for a soulmate, you convince your subconscious that you've got a soulmate. I'm okay, it's fine. And it's a very weird thing. I'll tell you another weird thing that happens. I was thinking, I actually am a job man now, and I do a lot of DIY as well. And there's a certain tool I was looking for, and there's a stall in the local market where I go that sells tools, you see. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but I thought, I bet he hasn't got one. I mean, it was out of the range. I can't remember what it was now. But anyway, I went down to this tool place thinking about concentrating on, well, I'm going to have to go to Screw Fix or Wix or Tool Station or somewhere to get this particular tool. When I went there, seated on his bloke's stall, he has loads of tools, was the exact tool that I wanted. Weird, isn't it? That is a very weird thing. And there's lots of strange things like that. I mean, for example, I've been throwing out a lot of stuff that was owned by my late father. Not a very nice job. But I wanted to keep his cat that he had. And I lost it. I thought, oh no, I hope I haven't. Because I put it in these charity locker things, And I was really sad because I wanted to keep his cat as a sort of memento. I looked down on the floor. There was his cat. It had fallen on the floor. I'd actually put it in the closed, put into the charity locker. And I had a second thought. And I couldn't find his cat anywhere. And there it was on the floor. Isn't that weird? There's certain things that happen like that you can't get, I wonder what your thoughts are, as if we could all at the same moment. I mean, the government can't control this. It's out of their control because we're not marching down the road or anything like that. All think positively about defeating this scum that's in power. And of course, you've got my non-existent imaginary charity that you can support, but only with thoughts, not with money. The only charity that's, which I suppose you don't call it charity really because it's not registered. But anyway, that is Tree Branch of Hope. And I apologise if there's any charities of that same name. And what I'm thinking of is you look at somewhere like an oak tree and you think, that tree branch looks nice and thick. Just right to hang one of these bastards off of. It's like the eyesore of the north. You could hang them from there. Anyway, let's have a quick look into chat. Now we've got Oops, hang on, what's happened here? Right here. Herodotus get booked. It may have to go Mad Max. Yes, yes. I often wonder whether the what we used to view or what was put out in the 1980s and I think earlier in the 70s as well, 70s, 80s, these disaster films, well, they were really trying to tell us something because they were very close. And what was that? There was a play that Donald Pleasance was in 1968 called was it called the Newsmakers, Media Makers, something like that. And what it was a brilliant play, years ahead of its time. And what it was saying is how the news is made up. And it's worth. I think if you go onto YouTube and you tap in Donald Pleasance, I think it's called the something makers, news makers, media makers, something like that. It's only on for about 20 minutes, half an hour. It's worth watching, you know. Now, this is an interesting one from Aunt Sally. Is it worth knowing that David Attenborough was a controller and director of programming at the BBC? Well, no wonder it went tits up then. Through the 1960s and 70s, during Savile's reign of noncery. Yes, yes. Well, let's face it. Hang on a minute. Let's show a little bit of, you know, what do you hold the lapels, don't you? Look skyward when you talk about the royals. The royals, yes. Now the king of Big Ears, you know, Big Ears the king. His friend was a nonce. His best friend was a nonce, and his brother is as well. Now, that's is that a sign of inbreeding? Because quite honestly, Charles and the rest of them are a result of close cousins marrying, and look what we got. They're pathetic, aren't they? Really. Now it says Ancient Ruby says all BBC are a little elite system, all bad, all need God. I really agree with you there. But the BBC, I mean, it's always been a propaganda agency. I mean, I think it was Lord Reith who was the first Director General. That's a funny name, Director General. I mean, General is from the army. Director General? We mention that word, we don't think about it. But Lord Reith, I believe that he was a propaganda writer for the government during the 1920, when was it, the National Strike. I think was it 28, 29, sometime around about that time. So, and then he went from propaganda writer to Director General of the BBC when it was set up in the, I think, 1930s. So that makes you sort of think, doesn't it? And now this is something that you people, our friends that in chat might be able to help me with. Some time ago, I heard somebody on YouTube saying that in I think it was 1947, there was a meeting amongst the BBC high-ups and the government, and apparently the BBC propaganda, they'd done it so well during World War II, they decided to carry it on into peace times. I've looked everywhere for this information, and the person that said it obviously was the type of person that seemed to know his stuff. So I don't think he was just making it up. So if anybody else knows anything about that, I'd be very interested, because I've looked all over the place. And apparently there was supposed to be this meeting, and the year was 1947. They did it. So, you know, I don't know whether it's true or not, because before I mention anything, I like to see if there's any meat on the bone as we go. Now it says here, was it Bob Olio? It says, I think the Savile stuff is a little smokescreen. Do you know, I've often wondered that, because has anybody written a book about being molested by Savile? Because someone, soon after this all blew up about Jimmy Savile, a bloke came on the BBC radio. I think yes, because I usually, when I'm in my car, if the radio is accidentally on the BBC, I turn it off. But I think because I can't stand Jeremy Vile and people like that, I just don't listen to BBC. It's Classic FM, and that's the only radio station, again, when I'm in my car, I listen to. But anyway, somehow I switched the radio on, and Jeremy Vile, I think it was Jeremy Vile, was on, and this chap said that Savile had helped his family, and he thinks it was all a pack of lies that had been made up been said, and he said similar to what you said, Bob. That it's a smokescreen. I don't know. I'm open-minded, but who knows? You know. But I personally think he probably was. You know, the amount of information there is. So I think that, you know. But I mean, what's the matter with these bloody people? You know. Now. This is interesting. Salai says they go after Richard D. Hall to keep the remaining sheep on the reservation. That's right. And they usually hang them out to dry, don't they? So that it stops other people from opening up. They last because they're good at fooling most people. Yeah. I mean, I've often wondered. I mean, when you look at the amount of talentless people that are on the BBC. I mean, BBC comedy is about as funny as watching Woodward, isn't it, really? And by the way, this is this stuff that's like wallpaper paste. And Miles gave it to me. So shall I drink it on his show next Thursday? That'd be funny, wouldn't it? look, it's horrible, isn't it? Yes, but if you've got a dodgy tummy, which I've got at the moment, then you use that. Now, Robert Dawes says, Chris, it's a very liberating thing being freed from terrestrial TV. Leaving it out illustrates just how much time we waste on flippery and trivia. Oh, talking about that. Now, I used to be on WhatsApp. On my phone, I'd switch it on in the morning, put it down and go, ding, 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 ding. It's like a bleeding fire engine with its bell dinging, ding, 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 ding. I just got bloody fed up with it, you know. And I noticed that, like with Facebook, I've got loads of very nice people on Facebook, and not, please, you know, don't think it's the wrong way. But when I first got onto Facebook, I had to get rid of them. There's people that's showing you what meals I had during the day, you know. This is my custard I had at lunchtime. Who wants to bloody know? And it wasn't as bad as that on WhatsApp, but it was people sending, you must spend their entire life on the computer, sending all the nasty stuff that's reported to going to happen, you know, like, you know, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Yes, we know we're heading towards a police state. What are we going to do about it? You know, we're going to sort of say, yes, it's bad, yeah, but what are we going to do about it? Are we doing anything about it? No, we're not doing anything about it. But this idea of positive thought, and if we could actually, I think it was a chap called Gallagher something, Canadian business that came up with this idea of the thought process. Did it a couple of weeks ago on my show, where I illustrated the way the subconscious works and that. And not necessarily joining hands or anything like that, but just think, possibly at a certain time of the day, might be 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I don't know, but a time of the day when most of our friends the other side of the globe, or if you believe it's, if you're not a round earth skeptic, let's, shall we say, people that are far away on different continents, they might be incontinent, you never know. Anyway, people in different continents, we can do it at a time when it's early morning there, it might be late at night here, where we can all think about getting rid of these bastards that put themselves in power. And this idea we live in a democracy gives a break. But democracy, well, no, it's a joke. Now, Robert Dora said, Richard D. Hall has clearly struck a nerve. More of the same, please, Richard. Yes, I haven't checked on his site for the last week. I don't know if he's got any more programs on there or whether he's gone silent at all. But good luck, mate. We're with you, because when the chips are down, you certainly know who your friends are. And as Bob, Les Dawson said, a friend in need is a pest. Now, I'm only joking, but no, seriously, Richard needs all our backing. You know, he needs all the friends. He needs as many people to, shall we say, and again, positive energy. Think positive towards Richard. You know, that's the thing. Now, Big Bobby Dilson said, oh, school days, round the bins, getting drunk, smoking joints, getting my leg over. Boy, I love that janitor job. Well, I'll show you how innocent we were at school. There's always the kid that likes smoking, you know, always behind, where was it now? No, behind the lavvies, I think it was. Anyway, we heard about grass. He thought it was freshly mown grass and mixed it with tobacco. It always burnt his bloody face. It all went up. But that's how innocent we were in those days, you know. But, oh, I like that one. Big Bobby says that's great. Now we've got here, what's it? No new material from Richard D. Hall lately. I've met Richard a couple of times actually, and very nice man. He comes over as being a very sincere person, you know. Now it says here, Bob Elliott made up all political parties. Yeah. I mean, it's rotten to the core. It really is. I mean, it stinks. I mean, to me, voting. Well, I think toilet paper has more value and more use than a bloody voting form. You know, because again, civil servants run the country, bankers rule the country. So all you've got there is just a bloody clown show, isn't it? Oxford has one of the most. This is Robert Dorr. Most complicated populations. Let's face it, the epicenter of the intelligence system. Yeah, got a good point there. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah. But again, why not Cambridge? Why Oxford? Strange, isn't it? Perhaps I got the short end of the straw. J. Alfred Baldwin says, however, Andrew Johnson is doing some interesting stuff on gang stalking and targeted people. That's interesting. Yes, I like Andrew Johnson. I'd like to get him on the show one day. You know, what is it? Is it Check the Facts? I think it's Check the Facts. His website. Now we've got Robert Dorr says, why only 21 likes? Come on, people. Ah, that's very kind. Yes, I forgot to mention that. Please shove your thumbs up, and subscribing is free of charge. Doesn't cost you a penny. So shove the old thumbs up. And there we got here. That's very kind. Thanks, Robert. Robert Dorr, I'm in love with Esther Ranson. Have you been to Specsavers recently? I have psychological problems. Help. She was married to Desmond Wilcox, a big member of the BBC. Oh, don't talk to me about Desmond Wilcox. Oh, bloody hell. I've actually seen a YouTube video of what he did. Was it called Man Alive? And they went to, must have been one of the most depressing programs ever. And it starts off with this and they interviewed people that have just sort of been diagnosed that they're going to croak it in a couple of weeks or something, and people have just lost their husband. And there's this woman sort of going, so the old camera's going. There's no one there to comfort her. I mean, you know, what it needs is someone to put your hand right. It's like, oh, sorry, I'm sorry to hear that. There's no love, there's no compassion there. I thought it was bleeding awful, you know. But apparently, Desmond Wilcox, so I heard, I don't know how true it is, agree, Chris. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. Desmond Wilcox, who is that bloke? Oh, what's his name? Ladies and gentlemen, he was in Up Pompeii. Something Howard. Is it? Something Howard. I can't remember his name. It'll come up in chat, I'm sure it will. And apparently he was very much into gentlemen, and apparently it costed Desmond Wilcox. Yes. He died a long time ago. Now, what's this now? Bob Hollyoak. I used to like Attenborough back when I was a kid until I woke up. Yeah. Well, he's one of these people, what I call hype people. Oh, he's brilliant. Isn't he marvellous? And it's like the BBC. Isn't it marvellous? It's fantastic. NHS. Isn't it fantastic? Isn't it marvellous? Well, if you tell a lie long enough, people might believe it. And that's what they do. They just keep praising and praising and praising all the time. You know, it's just PR. It's crap, you know. When the wall fell. Yes. When the wall fell, the Jehovah's Witnesses, know what I mean, population of Russia disappeared. Where did they go? I think they came here, actually. Yes, that's interesting. Robert Dawson, sadly, Chris, most people actually want to be led. That is 100% true statement. Well, look at the amount of people that want to be members of clubs. Most of the people, I mean, or want to. I saw a documentary once. It was about the Chelsea Hospital, Chelsea pensions. And this is when my dear old dad was alive, and we was watching it. Now, my dad was a square peg in the round hole. He was conscripted into the army at the tender age of 20 in 1939, and he hated every minute of it. And he went through the full 6 years of war, and he wrote a book about it, plug, and it's below. No, not in my crutch. It was below here in the description part. So if you want to know about his book, there's a link to it below, you see. And we was watching this documentary, and I think he just had a stroke. Yeah, he was in a wheelchair, my dad at the time, and he was getting over this stroke, and we were sitting, and there was an old boy that he lost his wife, and his wife did everything for him, and he lived in this beautiful house in somewhere in Essex. It was a bungalow, lovely garden, and he got rid of all that to go and live in the Chelsea Hospital down in London. And we looked at each other and thought, has he had a history of mental illness? And the reason why, and when he got into this hospital, they're filming him, and he's living in this sort of, I don't think he even had a window where he was. It's just like a bunk bed. It's a shitty little room. And he said, fantastic, he said. I don't have to think at all now. Someone can think for me. And we looked at each other and said, lazy bastard. And the fact of the matter is, his wife probably slaved for him. And then he thought when his wife died, we'd have to do a bit of, he was physically fit, there's nothing wrong with him. We'd have to do a bit of housework. So he might as well go down there, he gets all his laundry done for him, sits on his arse. Then someone says, get up and march outside, and he gets up and marches outside. And we just went, cuckoo, cuckoo. But I suppose we're all different. But, but he wanted to be led. He wanted to be told what to do, yes. Now it says here, Ancient Ruby has said, I know someone who has not gone along with rules, but now wears to protect himself from the old brigade. Yeah. Well, they reckon that they're shedding, don't they? So, something, And Robert Dora said, it's the abdication of responsibility. Yes, it certainly is. People they just want to be led. It's quite surprising. And what amazes me, I've never worn a badge. When I was a kid, I never wore a badge. I don't like badges. And I don't actually wear, this is why I'm at conflict with myself, because a lot of people have said, for this Fockham Hall idea, and for Fockham Hall generally, to have merchandise, bags and T-shirts and caps and things like that. So I'm actually shooting myself in the foot, because if I get merchandise, which I'm really planning to do, I'll be wearing it. So I'm really sort of, shall we say, contradicting myself. But let me say, I don't like merchandise for designer gear or anything like that. And I think that this merchandise, I'm thinking of T-shirts actually, where you could buy a large size and just put it on to make a statement. So, you should have something like Fockham Hall, not citizen, individual, because Fockham Hall will not have citizens, it's individuals, because we're all individuals, you see. Now, another one by Robert. These entities are like drug dealers. First hit is free. Yeah, yes. And I agree, yes, Ancient Ruby, very true too, yes. Now, Louis thought, it's poor kids that mine the lithium. Yeah. Well, let's face it, there's a big difference between this global warming and pollution. Two different subjects, because they're polluting the earth like no man's business. It's just bullshit all the time, complete bullshit. Especially bringing, wood pellets over from America, shipped over to America, so they can burn them in our power stations. And we've got 400 years worth of coal underneath us, apparently, in this country, and natural gas. And did you know what the second most abundant liquid on Earth is? You can look this up. It's oil. First is water, and second is oil. So this idea there's a shortage in this fossil fuel, I think again is the shit of the ball, because they've actually found that some they've drilled down, and some of these wells are filled up again. So again, you know, if you got something and you make a shortage of it, like I could say this pencil, there's only one around, and I don't know, some famous, it belonged to some famous, so it belonged to Elvis Presley. Now this pen, it's not a pencil rather. If you wanted to buy this, I don't know how much it would be. I don't think you can get these now. It's a Pentel. I think they're about £5, I say. But if I said it was owned by Elvis Presley, I could prove it. You know, it's got his, I don't know, nose hair on the end of it or something. This would then shoot up in price to, I don't know, £1,000, £2,000. Who knows? You know? Right. Now we've got here, Bob Hollyoak says most people won't afford electric cars. UBI says at home in our 15-minute zones in the next 10 years, etc. Oh my godfathers. Well, I've seen the price of these electric cars. They're about 3 times the price of an ordinary petrol engine car. So, you know, it's bonkers. It really is. Now it says, Haji says, I'm stocked out on cake for when they tell us to eat it. Costs £5 to make at the moment. And our ex-health minister in the jungle talking to us about falling in love. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he understands the meaning of love, actually. I mean, that's when you look at it. I mean, a psychopath that they can't really love in the way that we do. In that they don't really understand love as such. That's the one key element us humans have got, you know. And the old buildings are built with talent. Oh, don't start me off on architecture. Oh, God. Yes, I agree with you there. I mean, unbelievable what we've got now. I mean, that comes from the Soviet Union. Well, not really. It comes from Debussy. Oh, what's his name there? Debussy, architect, who was, in my view, as nutty as a fruitcake, but most architects worship him. Sorry, what was his name? Corbusier, something like that. Sorry, I'm doing this off cuff. I've got no notes here. I'm just doing this from memory. Corbusier, something like that. And he built this city in South America in the middle of the jungle. And it has the highest pedestrian death count in the world because he didn't put pavements down for pedestrians to walk down because he thought that everybody would go by car. And he was the one that masterminded these massive tower blocks, and he believed that there would be cities in the air where you'd have everything you want and you just live permanently or semi-permanently in this tower block. What a load of bullshit, you know. Yeah. And you talk to the architect about it. Oh, marvellous man. Corbusier, I think it was, something like that. Anyway, so I'm sure somebody put it down in chat. And I'm going to feel really embarrassed afterwards when I look up his real name or his real it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't get it. Anyway, super psychopaths. Dr. Robert Hare is a Canadian. That's right. Yes. And he's written several books. I think it was Snakes in Suits is one that comes to mind, and many others. Brilliant. And he's actually on YouTube. You can look him up. And some of the things he says, you think, well, it really does tell you something, you know. That's why 200-year-old terrace houses are still standing. That's right. Well, another reason why older houses are still standing is because of the mortar they use in them. Because, one moment, please. Sorry about that. Years ago, until up to, I'd say, around about before World War II, they used, and even after World War II, slightly, they used lime mortar. Now, lime mortar takes a long time to go off. And so what happened during World War II, when there was a lot of bombing of London, the walls could flex. And a teacher was at school who went through the war told us that he saw a wall move inwards and then outwards and then go back again because that was lime mortar. Now, modern mortars, or cement mortar, And cement mortar, this is between bricks, is like, well, imagine a wall of glass. You hit a wall of bricks that's cement mortar, the whole wall will come down. Whereas you hit a wall with lime mortar, you can take each individual brick out and you can actually reclaim the brick with ease. So that's the big difference. So that's why the older houses are still standing, is because they could flex better. And of course, if you go further back, you had solid oak, and a lot of the they had wattle and daub, which was a kind of wall, but they were built quite well. And the posh people that had brick houses, they are still standing, you know. So little bit of architecture there. There we go. Now, Jordan Maxwell, this is J. Alfred Baldwin said this, once said, and I believe him sadly, no matter how much we protest, things will never change. Only God or a miracle change things, and the powers that be are just too powerful. Unfortunately, I think he has a point there. But looking at it from another way, historically, the unexpected often happens. And I've got a funny feeling what it will be, I do not know, but I've got a feeling the unexpected will happen. Because we can't go on like this, isn't it? It's absolutely bonkers, isn't it, really? So I'm optimistic in that sense. And let's keep thinking, because they're trying to depress us, they're trying to get us down. I'll keep thinking positive thoughts all the time, more and more positive. You know, and I think there is a lot in that, you know. Now, Robin Guy says, Rob Wallace once said, that's the way the pancake flops. Yes, or that's the way the cookie crumbles. And why does bread always land butter side down? You know, but what's this now? It says implicit memory. Bob, yes, Bob Hollyoak. Now, this is interesting that you say here, Ancient Ruby. This is to J. Alfred Baldwin, and only because not enough awake to stand up against them. Many are awake and feel alone, but finding them is made hidden as possible to stop us doing more. Well, that's right. It's said to be 30% are, 40% are like, we'll just follow the crowd. And there's us, the remaining percentage, that, shall we say, you can't hypnotize. And I think that's the key to it. We can't be hypnotized. Now it says, that's right, Ancient Ruby, we cannot give up, right? That's right. And what's this? It may cause self-combustion. What's that? Sort of drinking Guinness and eating cabbage at the same time. Yeah, that generally causes self-combustion. Now, we got here. Yeah, it is positive thought or light. We curse them and they die. Well, no, I don't believe in putting curses on anybody. I think that the way forward is to be positive, because positive attracts positive, negative attracts a negative. And once you start getting a negative, you go down the downward spiral. We've got to go upwards in the upward spiral, so to speak. Now, this is an interesting one. Bob Hollyoak said here, Dr. Gabor, mate, speaks about implicit memory and explicit memory. Implicit memory and explicit memory. I'll look that up. Bob, thanks for that. That's interesting. Because I do read through these comments after the show. Hachi Heshi says, I'm up for collective consciousness coming together. John Lennon moment. I'll apologise. Love ye all. Yes, yes. I do believe in collective consciousness. There is something in it. I really do think that, because when we look at what's happening, I mean, it's just going absolutely bonkers. I mean, did anybody see that bloke that won a female beauty contest in America? They got to be. Yeah. But again, that is, I think, to cause confusion. I wonder whether that beauty contest actually existed. Did it happen? I don't know. I've seen pictures of it on Facebook and it's gone on the rounds on the net, but who knows? You know. Now what we got here, always a lot in chat. J. Alfred Baldwin says, the scary thing is how many of all the researchers we all know and listened to are maybe controlled assets. That's right. You know, I think they analyse that a lot. You know, you name the researcher, and change and changed could be they are. I really hope not, but we never know. Well, got a good point there. You know, they're all in the pockets of these, and they got to. This is what annoys me about censorship. I can't say, "Oh, I want on here," because the klaxons go off metaphorically at YouTube's HQ, and it's the same on Facebook. You know, it's terrible. Anyway, I think I better wind it up for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. You've really helped me through, because this has all been ad lib, no scripts, all from memory. And I remember the name of that bloody architect when I come off here. I'm positive I will. So I made an ass of myself there. I should, because you know the architect architects worship him. You know, Corbusier, I think his name is Corbusier, something like that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Thanks for joining me tonight. Thank you so much for everybody in chat who's helped out. And I'm sorry I haven't read all your messages out in chat, because as I say, I've normally got, oh, hang on, the light's gone off again. Here we go. Is it coming back? Yeah, it does this every week, doesn't it? So it's left it a bit late this week. So hopefully Deb will be back. Now, what we're going to do is this Thursday, we're going live at 8 o'clock. Same place, Eric Von Essex. And we're going to be talking to Dr. Miles Fleetwood, and it's called Gut Reaction. That's what we're talking about, gut reaction. And what I like about Dr. Miles Fleetwood, as far as I'm concerned, he's my doctor. He always has a positive aspect to everything, and he's highly qualified. And in my view, he knows more than the average doctor, much more. You know, he could actually eat, metaphorically again, eat them for breakfast and spit out the shucks with his knowledge. So he'll be on here, and he's going to do a short sort of, it's going to be about an hour. That's it, probably less than that. So he's got it all arranged and that. And so that's going to be exciting. And of course, next week, we're going to have John Hamer back when we've hopefully sorted out a problem with his, or what the problem is. I'm saying it's his computer. It might not be. It might be this computer. I don't know what the problem is at the moment. We're going to sort that problem out, and he's going to be hopefully, no, hang on, let's be positive. He will be back next Monday to talk about a ship. I think we give the name away now, that was not the Titanic, but that sunk and caused changed the course of history. Let's put it that way. So we look forward to that. So join us for a bonus show this week, this Thursday at 8 o'clock, Eric Von Essex. And remember, please put your thumbs up. Please subscribe. It's free of charge. And whatever happens, have a laugh. And I'll see you next Thursday. Thank you very much, and good night.